You know, this is a question that a lot of people are asking right now, comparing the flu to the coronavirus. I guess what I'll say is, given our current situation, I would challenge people to imagine a flu season where nobody gets a vaccine. No one has antivirals that are known to work, so we don't have Tamiflu. And oh, by the way, the case fatality rate, if it holds where it's at, is 10 times as bad as flu, at around 1%. You know, that's a pretty challenging scenario to imagine, and quite frankly, you know, I think the reason why we're seeing such a robust response to COVID-19 that we don't typically see with influenza. Even though influenza affects a large number of people every year and kills tens of thousands of Americans every year, we have a vaccine that we can protect vulnerable populations with. We have antivirals that can reduce the duration of symptoms. And even then, the case fatality rate's around 0.1%, and we're able to manage that in any given year. This, based on all the data we have, presents a greater challenge than that, and that's why we're seeing these public health measures be put in place, because we know what the potential outcomes of this can be. Well, you know, there will be a lot of work that goes into understanding really the origins of this virus, but based on the data we have now, what those data say is that this virus most likely originated in bats. Its closest genetic relatives are viruses that we know to exist in bats. And we know now that the first cases that were identified were found in Wuhan, China, especially a pocket of infections around a live market, a livestock market. How the virus made it from bats to people is less clear. It's possible there was an intermediate host, potentially another type of animal involved in that jump from bats to people. But at this point, that's all going to be based on our best estimate coming from the data that we have. But everything we know at this point tells us that this was a bat virus that was able to make a jump into the human population, and now this is a human virus. Bats are no longer playing a role in this transmission that we're seeing. The transmission is purely from person to person. You know, the issue with ibuprofen has received a lot of attention lately. I think what you'll see is that the recommendation from most organizations is that there is no evidence at the current time to indicate that ibuprofen causes problems with COVID-19. Obviously, as we learn more about the virus, as we learn more about people that have been infected and what possible medications they've been on, we may in the future learn that there is some connection, but at this point we simply have no data to say whether or not ibuprofen or possible other drugs do anything to exacerbate the infection. This is a question that's come up, especially the possibility of companion animals and dogs being infected. At this time, we have no data that tells us that dogs can be infected, so I'm not too concerned about our pets being infected and possibly transmitting it to us.